Hello. There we go. I'm back. I'm back. There we go. We are back. We're good. We're good. Oh, welcome everyone. Hope you're well. Hope you had a nice little break. Just a couple of hours. And yeah, we're back to it, aren't we? Back to it. So get your votes in of who you think is going to get pole position. A poll for pole. The best way I could do this was just group them by teams, because I do have a suspicion there might be a bit of a... I don't know what I mean by that, but like it's not going to be as straightforward as two Mercedes, two Ferraris, or whatever, you know. Like, I think there could be a potential upset here of someone getting pole position, or at least getting on the front row. So that's why I've gone for, yeah, the four options which are all allowed. Is Mercedes, Ferrari, McLaren, or Red Bull on pole position. And well, 49% of you think Ferrari, 34% think a Mercedes, 5% think McLaren, and 12% think a Red Bull. I think McLaren are a touch sneaky here. I do think they'll fall a bit short, but I think McLaren could do something. Like that's not akin to Miami, but maybe something like sneaker front row, or at least second row. I think McLaren are definitely there, waiting in the wings to capitalise on a Mercedes or a Ferrari not doing so well in qualifying. And then Max and Red Bull, you never know. You just never know with that pairing. It seems Red Bull's upgrades have not done them well. Well, it depends. It depends on what their aim was. They're still struggling to find a balance in the car, but they might still be happy with the progression that they've made. That's the thing. So their big updates were shedding weight on the car, which has probably increased undoubtedly performance for them. But now it's ironing out the balance, other aerodynamic elements on the car potentially. Maybe it's suspension related. I don't know. But yeah, I imagine there's positive steps, and I think we could get pole. Could be a surprise outcome, Carl. Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I mean, it is a track which does punish you for mistakes, of course. Pushing on the limit for the last sector in particular, there's definitely opportunities there for off tracks as well. We've seen turn 3 in practice really cause issues with the engine braking and drivers locking up into there and actually spinning in some instances. We're having big wobbles through turn 3. So it's not a given that these drivers will have uninterrupted laps. So yeah, we'll find out. I don't know what the track temp is currently. I imagine it's still hot. I'm still waiting for the live data to become available for us. But once we do, we will be switching over scene so that we can see exactly what the track conditions look like, because that's also going to play a factor. The track conditions here, how hot is it? Has it got hotter? Has it got cooler? Is it the same as what we saw earlier on? That is going to play a massive role in how these tyres perform when they're properly being pushed. Lots of last-minute lap settings just to care for VSC and yellow flags. Exactly. And it's a short track as well. And this is the thing, is that it's a short track. It's a track where, yes, lots of yellow flags, as you said, can really interrupt your session. And we've got two extra cars on the grid now. So Q1 in particular is going to be really busy, and Q2 as well. Oscar might get pole. I mean, the McLarens do look fairly equal in their performance this weekend, which is saying something really for Lando's side of the garage, because he missed pretty much all of FP1 with reliability issues again. Not that Piastri also hasn't had some concerns with his brake pedal and throttle. Their actual application in them themselves have been a bit skew-if for him. But yeah, their middle sector did look very good earlier. Very good. They were the fastest two in the middle sectors. We can see the sector times from earlier on before the live data sorts itself out. So let's just have a review of those. So these are the sector times from earlier. You can see sector 1 was led by Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari, which is really where all the power, that's the power sector, sector 1, because it's all it is based on one corner. That's all sector 1 is one corner, the first corner, and then you can see that sector line ends just before turn 3 on the track map there, where you see the shade of the track change, and then turn 3 has been a corner which has really been causing a lot of teams worry through there because of the engine braking and so forth and some instability, and then you head down through that middle sector into turn 4, through turn 6, which is a very, very tricky corner as well. Lots of time could be lost there. Turn 6 is a oh, bless me. Turn 6 really is the corner where we will see from now on. Turn 6 and turn 7 are the two corners where we do primarily see track limits violations. Turn 6, you do have big gravel on the outside, big gravel trap on the outside of that corner, and normally teams, if they scuff that, then they normally are 4 wheels outside the white line. So that's where we'll see probably lots of lap times deleted today. Turn 7 as well, with the quite sharp change of direction. The car's very highly loaded on the right-hand side there. And then turn 9 and turn 10, potentially, but not as severe as it used to be with the introduction of the gravel strips that they have there. But the thing is as well is that the curbing is also something, and the vibrations that these cars take through this track is something to be wary of. Not necessarily, I think, through this qualifying session, but for the race tomorrow. That could have a factor on reliability concerns. Speaking of rolls, I'm getting your hopium rolled up right now. Is there any chance for Hamilton given the Mercedes dominance in the straights? Well, you say that. Hamilton had the fastest first sector. I think there definitely is. And this is where we're now really, truly going to see the pace of the Ferrari power units, or all power units, to be fair. No one's properly turned the wick full up. I still don't think. Because why would you, in these hot conditions, in this high altitude, so the air is thinner, makes the engines work harder, the cooling needs to be more prevalent around here. So why would you stress the engine unnecessarily in practice where you win no points? You win no prizes for being first, or there's no prizes for finishing wherever you are in practice. So it's all about dialing the setup in, making sure that all systems check, getting the drivers into a groove so that when it comes push to shove and they turn everything up in qualifying, they're ready for it. Charles does have a good race. Does have a good history at this track. Well, Charles, I feel like he's either on the podium or he doesn't finish the race here, or he's like getting into crashes at the Red Bull Ring. I feel like that's a very, you could say that's kind of really Charles Leclerc, I guess. Charles Leclerc's career. But at this track in particular, he either gets caught up in something, has like issues, and then or finishes on the podium. I don't feel like there's an in-between for him. Do you want to see the last 2 placements? Do you want to see the last 2 placements? There's not really that much of a shock in relation to the last 2 placements. Hang on. I need to reduce the window size so I can scroll down. Ah. Shocker. 2 seconds. Shock horror, Aston Martin. I mean, Alonso has got himself outside of the bottom 2 when it comes to the last sector, but there you go. Interesting, Ferrari has top speed, McLaren has the twisty, and Mercedes has the combo. Should be a fun quali. Yeah, definitely. You missed all 3 practices today. What's wrong with turn 3 and drivers complaining about it? So because of the whole regen side of things with Formula 1 these days, this year, the drivers are having to go into like first gear, which they don't normally ever do. They hardly ever use that gear in history of Formula 1. It is only used really at one corner on the calendar, which is the hairpin at the in Monaco, the slowest corner on this circuit. Otherwise than that, it's basically first gear has always just been a starting gear, and then you never use it again. But what we're seeing up into turn 3 in particular is that we're seeing drivers on the entry and mid-corner of turn 3, the rear stepping out, the rear losing control. And that's not driver error. That's purely the cars, the way the cars are designed and the way that they operate this year. And we've seen it a few times this year where the rears have snatched. They've got caught up. Most notably, of course, and dramatically, was Max Verstappen in the qualifying, if you remember, and the rears just completely locked. It's not quite to the same extent here, but it is an inkling of it where we're seeing these engines really cause rear instability mid on the entry to the corner and mid corner, because they're not applying the throttle at that point. They're braking and they're rolling off the brakes, and they're trying to carry as much speed as they can through turn 3. And then once you get over the kind of, as you hit the apex of turn 3, that's when you're then starting to apply the power gradually, because it is uphill, sharp right-hander. And we've seen Lando Norris, the rear, go round at himself. We've seen Isaac Hadjar have a moment in there. We've seen Lewis Hamilton have a moment. Charles Leclerc, I think Max as well. I mean, we've pretty much seen all cars have some sort of instability through there, some more than others, of course. And that's not a characteristic of Formula One cars we've seen through that corner. So that's going to play, that could play an important role come qualifying and the race tomorrow as well. The high track temperature would let tyre management to be the most crucial factor, like Barcelona and Catalonia. Yeah, it'll be about managing those rear temps. So this is the thing, right? So this is the thing with qualifying. We're still waiting for the live data, so to keep the sector times up for now. What we are waiting, what's interesting for me is that, look, qualifying, as we've seen many times in the past in Formula One, you can have a car that is good over a single lap, because in qualifying, you're not worried about tyre degradation. Yes, there are certain circuits where, and these Pirelli tyres are very sensitive, and you need to keep them in the right window to keep them in a good performance window for the whole duration of the lap. There have been instances at some circuits where the tyres just fall off in performance come the end of the lap, where they just overheat. I think they have got better in that sense, Pirelli now, in that regard, because that was something drivers were really complaining about, and you shouldn't have to worry about your tyres really overheating per se, like on a full push lap. Like, it should be down to the performance of your car, unless your car is absolutely treading the tyres and sliding around all over the place. But then that comes down to the balance of the car, not necessarily the tyres. But here, I think this track, you can get away with having you can have a car that's good over a single lap here, and you will be rewarded. But over a full race distance, if you are unable to manage those temperatures, which with these high track temps that we're going to see, just because you're quick over a single lap doesn't mean that that's going to translate into race pace. And yeah, I think that's something that is going to play a factor tomorrow. The difference here compared to Barcelona, though, is that Barcelona has a real mixture of corners. It has it has a real mixture of high-speed corners and low-speed corners. So at Barcelona, with the high abrasive nature of the circuit, you had basically both types of tyre management required. You need a good balance in your car, so that the car isn't sliding around so much, so that it doesn't lose, the tyre carcass isn't scraping across the surface, so you're not causing physical degradation. But then you also need a car that is good obviously under the rears, out of the low speed corners, so that you're managing those temperatures in those tyres. So it's a real balancing act at Barcelona, and that's why they always say that a car can't hide in Barcelona, and that's why it's normally the finishing position is based on kind of the general performance at the time of the season. The best car normally wins, and the slowest car, and it's normally in that kind of order. And that's why it was really intriguing to see last time around at Barcelona, the first race we've had where there was tyre management involved, because every single race prior to that has been a simple one-stop. I say simple, like easy one-stop, where they could do pretty much most races on a single tyre if they were allowed to. We saw Ferrari, Lewis Hamilton. Yes, they did the free stop, but even so, their tyre management was so good. Their pace was so good, even when they were like matching the strategy-wise, when it was on the same tyre as the Mercedes. And that's why I'm intrigued to see how it plays out here. Now, it's more of a case here rather than the physical degradation, so the car's actually, the tyres taking load. It's more so on the rears, because turn 1 is all about your rear traction. Turn 3 is all about the rears. Turn 4 is, rears as well, bit of fronts, and then you've got turn 10 is all about the rears. So the rear tyres are what take the most hurt round here, and it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out tomorrow with these track temps so high as they are, even hotter than what we saw at Barcelona. Mechanical, yeah, exactly, Sid. Yeah, it is, and then that's the thing. You need that rear traction, and you need a car that is not going to spin up those rears. Now, of course, it's a balancing act between the driver and how much they apply the throttle, but it's a case of it. They don't want a car that's going to be sliding the rears through there. You're a new F1 fan. How does quali work? Is it like getting the fastest time, or is it more like the GP? It might be a stupid question. No, of course not. There's no stupid questions. And as Cristiano has perfectly explained, thank you, Cristiano. Yes, it's really the only kind of sport where we put the quickest people starting at the front. So yeah, the fastest lap time wins, basically, or wins qualifying, starts on pole position. So how qualifying is formatted is that we have 22 cars. We have 3 qualifying sessions. We have Q1, which is 18 minutes long, and all 22 cars, if they're able to, get out and set the fastest lap that they possibly can within those 18 minutes. The bottom 6 cars are eliminated, and Q2, then you have Q2, so it seems the live data is gearing up for us. So then the top 16 cars go through to Q2, where it's 15 minutes long. Then what happens is you then have another 6 cars eliminated from Q2. And then you have Q3, where the top 10 shoot it out within 12 minutes to start on pole position. And that's normally, of course, where you have the fastest teams, the fastest drivers shoot it out, and it's most exciting because the track in Q3, of course, as more cars are eliminated, as more cars are eliminated, we have more space out on track, so the drivers are able to not worry about cars getting in their way, so that they're able to set the fastest lap time possible. And that is qualifying. And that's how they start and line up on the grid tomorrow, provisionally, albeit if they don't take any engine penalties, which mean they have to take a grid place penalty if there's no impeding penalties, which can occur on a track like this. So today, really interesting with those with 22 cars on track, and with this being the shortest timed lap on the calendar, only 10 corners, really only 9 because turn 2 isn't a corner. They have the track is going to be really busy. So if a driver gets in the way and impedes someone else's lap who is setting a timed lap, they will be penalised for it, and they'll receive a penalty for their starting position tomorrow. So that could be something to keep an eye out on today. Can I tell you what the quali inter-team battles are? I don't know who's ahead of who. Apologies for that. I don't know who is ahead of who in relation to quali inter-team battles at the moment. You think Verstappen should get at least P3? Well, he's got a great opportunity to do so. He wasn't that far behind when it came to FP3 earlier. And as I said, still don't think that's how they're all going to line up today when it comes to the end of qualifying. Feel like an untimely red or yellow in Q1 will catch a team out with a weak banker lap. I mean, we've seen it this year, haven't we? We've seen a number, not so much the top teams, but we've seen the midfield teams in particular, because the bankers for the top teams have always been pretty comfortable. But we have seen a lot of midfield teams get caught out because of yellow flags at the end or red flags at the end, and there's not been enough time to go do another lap and do it again. So, yeah. Wow! Track temp is even hotter than earlier. Oh, my goodness. It's 53.5 degrees Celsius. Air temperature is 33 degrees. It's hotter than it was earlier. Is it going to cool down by the time we get to Q3? That is the question. Wow, that is hot. How is the evolution here? It used to be powerful. I think we're still going to see some evolution. There still will be some. I think it's like in the mid-range. But the problem is that when the track temp is so high as this, it's not as key of a factor, because you're just trying to limit your car from sliding around in track temps like that. The tyres are going to be hot, and you're going to lose grip. Ooh. Has Mercedes done any improvement on reliability in their batteries? Supposedly so. Yeah, that's supposedly so. That's what they said. All right, can I get this going again? My TV coverage. Thank you, Sarah. Much appreciated. Yes, guys, if you are enjoying this live stream, or if you've been enjoying the watch-alongs and you are yet to hit that subscribe button, please do. How many are we on at the moment? 80, nearly on 85,000. So, yeah, big thank you, everyone, for tuning in, as always. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, before for an hour before the race gets underway. It's supposed to be a bit cooler in the UK tomorrow. Let me double-check that. I think it's supposed to be cooler tomorrow here in the UK. Oh, a nice chill 25 degrees tomorrow. Beautiful. So it will be a lot more comfortable for me behind the mic, even though I've got fans on me at the moment. But yes, we'll be live an hour before so that we can have a look at the all-important strategy options, weather, etc., and all the relevant information that you need to understand and keep an eye on as the race unfolds. I think it's going to be like Barcelona, but better, because Red Bull Ring provides great wheel-to-wheel racing. I would say it would be guaranteed to be better because we used to have the 3 DRS zones, which would enable slower cars to stay much closer with a faster car ahead. But we don't have that anymore. We just have the straight mode zones, which everyone has access to. So because of that, it is all dependent on the overtake mode and how effective that is going to be, which I hope is going to be effective. 53 degrees track temp. Yeah, really hot, really hot. Is it true that Lewis has as many wins as Alonso has had career podiums? That's got to hurt. Maybe. I mean, yeah, that's poor decision-making career-wise for Fernando Alonso, isn't it, really? That says a lot about his decision-making of where he went and what he's done in his career. Ahmed, what does it mean when the FIA said regarding the duo stuff that the Ferrari engine is 4% off the benchmark? Does it mean they're 4% weaker than Red Bulls? Yes. On the ICE component, anyway, not the battery component. They're only doing the duo, and they're only measuring it against the ICE, so the internal combustion engine side of things. They're not taking into consideration the utilization of the battery and the recovery energy side of things. So Mercedes have even been deemed to be behind Red Bull and entitled to one upgrade token, an extra upgrade token, whereas Ferrari get 2 this year and 1 next year. I think it is. I think that's how it is. I think that's how they've. Will Hulkenberg score a point on Sunday? I do hope so. I mean, he should have scored a point really in. He should have scored a point in Barcelona. I think he comfortably would have scored a point. He was on Lawson's rear wing for most of the race, and then yeah, such poor luck for Hulkenberg. Like that gravel being thrown up by Lawson. He basically did chucked a banana skin, didn't he? He was playing real life Mario Kart, but used gravel, and it pulled the safety shut off toggle or whatever it is on the side of the engine cover of the Audi, and it caused him to go and shut down. Will England win tonight? Yeah, we'll win tonight. Evening, Jarvis. Good to see you. Presumably all Ferrari did is slap a bigger turbo on their engine. No? I don't know. I actually don't know. It's a fair point, and I can't imagine they're going to give us the insight into what they have done to their engine. But yeah, I presume that maybe it's an area that they've decided to look at a turbo as well. I don't know. But one thing is for sure is that they've clearly done something to increase the horsepower. How much horsepower extra it puts out, I don't know. How accurate is the reporting that people have reported? It all comes from leaks and so forth. It's all estimations. We don't know. Only Ferrari and the FIA will truly know. Ferrari strategy under Carlo Santini makes Hamilton better person than before, which just shows how important having a good engineer is in Formula One. Having that level of trust. It's the same. I attribute an engineer to the same way that I attribute the importance of a caddy in golf. You need a good caddy. You need a good engineer. You need someone who is there to help you and breed calm and confidence into you. And that is the role of an engineer. And they do become part psychologist as well. Exactly the same as exactly the same as what a caddy does in golf. And if you don't have someone that you can trust in that department, then your performances out on track are going to suffer. And I do think questions need to be raised about George Russell's side of the garage and his engineer. When you listen in stark contrast to the radio messages of Bono and Antonelli, of course, they're two different ages, two different types of people. George is more experienced, Kimi is a lot younger. But you just hear Bono on the radio compared to George's side of the garage. I think it's very, very different. Very, very, like, not in a good way, in my opinion. You've heard GP1 and Max up. Yeah, but they have that sort of relationship. And it's all about understanding your driver, understanding what they respond to, what they don't respond to. Like, GP wouldn't say those sort of things if he knew all that was going to do was really rile Max up and he wasn't going to get better performance from Max out of it, because that would be unprofessional and he wouldn't be doing a good job. He knows Max as well as anyone, and he knows how to, like, get performance out of him, and also knows when to calm him down and basically just nip it in the bud. Max is probably someone, as we've seen from GP, who just needs to be told to shut the F up sometimes, and Max responds to that. Whereas if someone was more, like, not I would say aggressive, but not as blunt as that, then Max might not take that seriously, you know? Russell and Antonelli have the same engineer? Oh, no, they don't, no. How much time till Q1? Have a look at the big countdown timer in the top right-hand corner of the screen. That gives it away. Right, so get your votes in. Who is going to get on pole position? I have had to group them. I only get 4 options for a poll, so I've had to group them via team. Mercedes are at 41%, Ferrari 40%. For Mercedes have had a big jump up recently, as they're equal with Mercedes and Ferrari. It's you think it might be equal between them. I think it is really between them for a shootout for pole position. But who will be on pole? McLaren 5%, Red Bull 14%. I think we're in for a little bit of a shocker. Just quickly need to grab my water. It's been nicely cooling in the fridge, and we'll be ready to rock and roll, everyone. 1 minute, T-minus 1 minute till Q1 at the Red Bull Ring. Oh. Right. Little one's having a nap, and I really hope that she stays asleep until at least the end of Q3. Oh, right, track temperature is 52.4 degrees Celsius. Air temperature 33.2. It's very hot, hot, hot out there at the Red Bull Ring. We have just under a couple of seconds. Here we go. And Q1 is about to get underway. There we go. Green light, pit, exit open. We are go, go, go for the Austrian GP Q1 session. Who is going to drop out in this Q1 session? Will Cadillac's updates work? I think it is pretty much a given that the 2 Aston Martins will not be making it out of Q1. Will we see some drama unfold here? It's going to be a very busy circuit. Will we see a shocker of a team not make it, or team or driver, shall we say, in one of the top teams not make it through? It's not out of the realms of possibility, of course. It should be quite comfortable for those top 8 drivers in the top 4 teams to get through Q1. They'll want to do so in the least amount of bother as possible. And I'm quite intrigued that drivers aren't out there a lot sooner. But, let's see. Of course, the track temperature is higher, so drivers probably don't want to get out there too soon, because they want to keep their tyre life as best as possible. The track evolution, there is going to play a factor. It always plays a factor. At some circuits, it is more plays more of a role than others, but it has kind of been the role, the theme of things this year in Formula One, where we have seen that the later you go out, the quicker you will set a lap time. But of course, there is a lot of risk involved there, especially for those teams who are seeking to make it into Q2. So yeah, don't want to leave it too late. And especially with these track temperatures, drivers are not rushing to get out on track right now. But Esteban Ocon will be the first driver to set a lap time here. And boy, oh boy, does he need a good race weekend. He has not had a good start to this season with Haas. And there's lots of rumours floating about that this could be his last season in Haas. And could that be his last season ever in F1? Because he has done the rounds quite a bit, hasn't he? So we'll see how he fares. He needs to beat his teammate as well, who has been comfortably really outperforming him, as Ollie Bearman is still in the pit lane. But we'll keep an eye on Esteban Ocon. And, well, has he already slowed down a bit? No, he hasn't. There's just a slight delay on the track map there. Valtteri Bottas. Sergio Perez goes 2 tenths quicker in the first sector than Esteban Ocon. Updates here this weekend for Perez and Bottas. Updates are plenty for Cadillac, and it hasn't been plain sailing weekend for them, with some early retirements out of the practice sessions for both, well, at least Sergio Perez in both sessions, FP1 and FP2. But today has fared much better for them, as Ocon does go quickest in the first sector, a lot quicker than that of Bottas and Perez. He's gone 2 tenths quicker nearly than Sergio Perez, and he's gone 3 tenths, half a second quicker than Bottas in the middle sector. Bottas has lost all performance in that middle sector. As it's about Ocon, it's a 109.0 for the first lap. And, well, we know that's 2 seconds off of the pace that we saw from Kimi Antonelli earlier on, or George Russell earlier on today with a 107 flat. And Sergio Perez goes 7 tenths quicker than his teammate Valtteri Bottas. And once again, Perez is outperforming Valtteri Bottas in that Cadillac. Very interesting to see. Alex Albon, the 2 Williams drivers, Sainz and Albon, have been pretty non-existent here this weekend. Williams still struggling, still overweight, and Sainz is coming across the line, and he only goes second fastest, just over a tenth behind Esteban Ocon in the Haas, as Albon coming around the last corner now. Where can he go? Looks like he's probably going to go ahead of his teammate, barring the last poor sector, and he does, but still only by half a tenth of a second into P2 there. Nico Hülkenberg, he is seeking his first point in Formula One this year. He has probably been the most unluckiest man, other than, you could say, potentially George Russell or so what, who has gone fastest in the first sector and fastest in the second sector. Unsurprisingly, the first driver of the top drivers of the top teams out there setting a lap. Nico Hülkenberg, though, 108.5, and that is nearly 6 tenths quicker than Haas. Audi, who have a few updates as well, brought some in Barcelona, had good performance there, and are looking to continue some good form. They just need someone not to pull the safety switch, do they? The cut-off switch this time around. George Russell, 107.8 for the first attempt here, and that just shows instantly there the gulf in performance between the top teams and the rest of the midfield, because a 107.8 on the first attempt is not too shabby whatsoever, and 7 tenths quicker than that of Nico Hülkenberg in second place. Out there of the top teams now, Verstappen is about to start his first lap, so we'll keep an eye on Max Verstappen, home favourite, of course, at the Red Bull Ring. One of the most successful drivers at this circuit. The most successful driver at this circuit on the current grid. And, well, with the updates that Red Bull have here this weekend, they have made a slight improvement to their overall performance, but they've struggled with the balance, and they've been chasing the setup all weekend. Let's see when push comes to shove in qualifying whether Verstappen and Hadjar will be able to get anything out of it. And that first sector's not too shabby from them, a 16.767 quicker then George Russell there for Verstappen, and Hadjar sets identical first sector time to George Russell. But that has been broken by Lando Norris in the first sector, with Oscar Piastri maybe getting a cheeky little toe from Bearman as well, where he takes purple in the first sector. He does indeed, of 16.70. So 2 16.7s for the 2 McLarens in the first sector. Verstappen of 30.1 in the middle. That's 3 tenths quicker than George Russell in the first sector. Isaac Hadjar matching his teammate as well. So this is a good first attempt from Isaac Hadjar here. Of course, it's all about just getting banker laps in and making sure that you get through to Q2 with little fuss as possible, as Hamilton goes fastest in the first sector. And Max Verstappen goes 4 tenths quicker than George in that lap overall, but I can't imagine he'll be at the top of the timing screens for long as Isaac Hadjar comes across the line and is 1/1000th of a second slower than Verstappen. That's a good first attempt from Isaac Hadjar, who has been well off the pace of his teammates' performance this weekend in practice, but they didn't stay top of the timing screens for long because Lando Norris chucks in a 7.259. So this is 107.259. Piastri there with a slow middle sector in particular for Piastri, slots into P4. So Hamilton, purple in the first sector. He's green in the second, and Charles Leclerc isn't too far behind his teammate. But, a bit of a slow last sector there for Charles Leclerc, and a slow middle sector as Hamilton goes second fastest with a purple first and a purple last sector, 0.03 of a second behind Lando Norris. And that's a 107.290, and I do presume that is them safe. I can't imagine any of the midfield teams getting kind of close to that. At least the bottom six getting close to that to really apply any pressure to the likes of Norris, Hamilton, Verstappen, Hadjar, Piastri. To be fair, anyone who's in the 107s right now, which is basically the top 7, I don't see the... Maybe George might have to go again just to feel comfortable, but I don't see the bottom 6 doing 107s at all come the end of Q1. Looks like Lewis got a toe from Kimi. Maybe. I mean, look, toes are a factor here, of course. But Q1 and Q2 is just about these top guys doing as minimum amount of laps possible and getting through and making sure that they put as least amount of stress on the car as necessary with these high altitudes and these hot conditions right now. 52.7 degrees Celsius is the track conditions as Lawson moves up into P9 there and splits the Alpines. The 2V cars splitting the Alpines, but Behrman... Oh, good lap from Behrman. Maybe a bit of return to form for Ollie Behrman and Haas, who have struggled of recent. But Kimi Antonelli is gone quickest in the middle sector with a 30.033. Definitely seems to be the man to beat. And, well, he's set a benchmark there with a 1.7 flat, with a fastest middle sector and a fastest last sector. So Kimi Antonelli setting down, laying the gauntlet. Yeah, so we'll see if he will be in that position come the end of Q3. But halfway through this Q1 session, Bortoletto still yet to set a lap time. He is trudging his way round the track right now. But we currently have Albon, Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll in the bottom... Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Alonso and Stroll in the bottom 6 with Bortoletto still yet to set a lap time. The only driver still yet to set a lap time, but he's round in the last corner now. And I can't imagine it's going to be very long for him to be remaining in that bottom 6. And it'll be the 2 Williams, the 2 Cadillacs and the 2 Aston Martins in the drop zone. They're all out there on a brand new set of tyres with 9 laps remaining. And, well, they're probably going to use all of their brand new sets just to try and get through this. With it being a short lap, of course, there is time to dive into the pit lane and put a new fresh set of boots on so that you can get a new lap in. As Ocon goes green in the first sector, by the way, with the same set of tyres on. We'll see how his second sector is as he's coming across that line now, and it is yellow in the middle sector for Esteban Ocon, so he's losing that grip. He's 2 temps down in the middle sector. But green sector's being popped across the board here, left, right and centre from those currently fighting to get out of Q1 into Q2. Bortoletto only did a 17 flat in the first sector, but it's not too shabby. He should be able to find some pace in the middle sector. And it's a 30.5 in the middle sector for Gabriel Bortoletto, which is quicker than his teammate and Arvid Lindblad. And, well, he just needs to navigate the last couple of corners now, and he should be out of that drop zone comfortably. But green sector's there from Bottas, Perez, Alonso, Sainz, Albon, all across every sector as Bortoletto comes across the line. He's dead last at the moment, but not for long as he goes only 14th though. But I say only 14th, that's 7/10 of a second quicker than Alex Albon. But is there 7/10 improvement for Carlos Sainz and Alex Albon? No, there is not. There is only around half a second for Carlos Sainz as he moves into P17 for only a fraction of a second because his teammate comes across the line and forces Sainz down into the drop zone as Sergio Perez pushes Esteban Ocon down into 19th place. What a half. Are we live? Oh, I'm here. Oh, we dropped out for a minute. We dropped out. Apologies. The internet dropped out. We're back. We're back. I thought we'd gone. We are here. Thank you, everyone, for still staying tuned. Right. So, what What is Esteban Ocon? Well, not so much Esteban Ocon. What is Haas doing? I don't know what Haas's plan is here. Haas have kept him out there for an extra lap than necessary, and that did not work, especially where Ollie Behrman has put his Haas up into P10. There is potential performance in that Haas to be able to get into... get out of Q1. So at the moment, it is Albon, it is Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Ocon, Alonso, and Stroll in the bottom 6. Hulkenberg, a little bit of risk, you would say. It does look like only Ocon, I think, and the 2 Williams who can improve, but they didn't improve that much there on that last push lap. But everyone really from Lindblad upwards, Colapinto upwards, or even Bortoletto upwards, I think is safe. Definitely the top 10 or top 11. There's no way there's going to be that much improvement from everyone behind. So it's all about these drivers in the bottom 6 with just over 6 minutes remaining. Woo. But thank you everyone for tuning in. Yeah, we did have just a little dropout of the internet there. I thought the worst had happened, but yeah, no, we're back. Thank you everyone. If you could hit the like button, it'd be much appreciated. We're at 442 likes with over 5,000 of you here in the stream. So big thank you. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow, of course, for the main race, an hour before the race gets underway. Of course, we'll have a look at those all-important strategy options. It's going to be a minimum 2 stop tomorrow. There's always reliability concerns. What is that pit stop loss time? What's the weather going to be doing? Could that play a factor? So lots to take into consideration when it comes to the race tomorrow, which I think is going to be really interesting here. We did just have a drop out of the internet, so if you do refresh your stream or close down the app and then restart it, it should sort it out. Or if not, reduce your resolution. It may be a bitrate issue on your end. So reducing the resolution sometimes always helps the smoothness of the stream. Why they stay in the pit lane in Q3 in between 15 minutes? I'm watching a replay of Nico Hulkenberg, and he had a bit of a snap out of the... I'm not even listening. I'm not even looking at the coverage, to be fair. There hasn't really been too much to take in all. The Audi really bottomed out there, out of the last corner, and that really threw Hulkenberg off as the car compresses into the last corner there. What if Ocon improves? Who gets eliminated? Hulkenberg would go through because he set his lap time first. So when a team, they only measure down to the 1,000th of a second, so they don't go beyond that. So if Alex Albon and Hulkenberg, yes, are tied, Hulkenberg, as is shown there, is ahead already because he set his lap time first. That's how it's done. Quali is not over. Oh, no. We're just in Q1. We've still got Q2 and Q3 to go underway. As George is saying, just a bit similar to the FP3 runs, 4 wheels sliding. So George Russell complaining about lack of grip out there at the moment. Right, there's definite improvement out there for teams. So Hadjar out there on his own, just on a set of used tyres. So not sure why he's going back out there. Maybe just to get a feel of things, you know. He hasn't had the best of weekends of prep. So maybe he just wants to get out there and set a comfortable time. Or maybe they think there's going to be a significant amount of improvement here on the lap. Let's see, because Piastri's coming out as well. I didn't think we'd see any of the top drivers go back out there. But it is, of course, also about getting a feel of things, feeling the track state. The track temperature has decreased slightly, ever so slightly, and it's down to 52 degrees Celsius. I say down to 52 degrees Celsius. It's ridiculous to say, isn't it? That's how hot it is at the Red Bull Ring. So Hadjar doing another lap, Piastri doing another lap. Sainz, of course. At the moment, we have Sainz, Perez, Bottas, Ocon, Alonso, and Stroll in the drop zone. Behrman's also coming out on a brand new set as well. That's interesting. So, what do they know that we don't know? They're clearly predicting that there's going to be a significant improvement here then on the track state. They are, with Ollie Behrman being in the top 10, Lawson is out as well on a brand new set of softs, as is Lindblad, as is Colapinto. So they clearly think there's going to be a significant improvement on the track state and lap times at the end of this session. Interesting. Let's see if that's even necessary. I'm a bit surprised about that, but I guess better safe than sorry. But we'll see how Hadjar does. Hadjar's done a 16.9 in the first sector. Oscar Piastri, we'll see how he fares as well. Only Hadjar and Piastri in the top teams. Oh no, George Russell and Antoinette. What? Why are they all coming out here? Seems a bit bizarre that Antonelli's also coming out, but fair enough. Right, anyway, let's keep an eye on those teams who are starting their laps. Gasly is on a flyer here. Esteban Ocon as well. We'll keep an eye on him as Isaac Hadjar doesn't improve. He does a 107.7, so no improvement for him on a set of used tyres, which I don't really expect to see. Get down. Blooming cat. But they clearly expect there to be an improvement of the track state here. It's Esteban Ocon. Let's keep an eye on Esteban Ocon, shall we, as he is in the bottom. There's a big improvement by Colapinto. 16.6 in the first sector. He's just jumped up to second in the first sector timings there. Wow. Esteban Ocon's jumped up to 13th in the first sector timings. So a massive improvement from Colapinto in that first sector. Esteban Ocon, though, green in the first sector. But is it going to be quick enough? As Carlos Sainz has improved as well in the drop zone. Currently in 17th in that last drop zone position. Alex Albon doesn't improve. He's a 17 flat in the first sector. So no improvement from Albon. Lindblad improves in the first sector. He moves up into 7th in that first sector timings. We'll have a look afterwards at the sector leaderboard. Ocon, 30.5, so it's an improvement for him in the middle sector. Also an improvement for Colapinto as well, but is this going to be enough? As Colapinto comes across the line, he's in 13th, and he moves up into P9, so an improvement for him. Hulkenberg, he comes, he's starting his lap, but Esteban Ocon, currently in the drop zone, currently P20. Where's he going to go? It's up to 13th, and a big improvement for Ocon there on a fresh set of boots. And that's 9/10 improvement for Esteban Ocon there at the end. Improvement here, though, for Carlos Sainz as he rounds the last corner as Hadjar is in the pits, and it's Carlos Sainz in 18th up to 14th. So that pushes his teammate down and Nico Hulkenberg down into the drop zone as they are out on flyers at the moment. Green sectors all across the board here as Lindblad moves up into P8. A big improvement for him. He improves by nearly 6 up into P8. George Russell on another lap as well. Lawson is improving. He comes across the line and goes up to 4th. Lawson up to 4th. Big improvements here at the end of this session, but not many able to utilise it as Alex Albon is confirmed to be out. Checkered flag, no improvement for Alex Albon. He is out, and at best he's going to be qualifying in P18 as Bortoleto moves up into P12 and moves himself to safety. Alonso does improve but stays 21st. Lance Stroll doesn't improve and comes into the pit lane. Nico Hulkenberg in the drop zone. Can he make the double Q1 elimination for Williams? He can, as Hulkenberg moves to 15th. Bottas is improving. Sergio Perez is improving here. But is it enough from the two Cadillacs? They need about a 8 improvement to knock Ocon down and get out of Q1 for the first time for Bottas. Russell does a fastest last sector there and moves up into P5. Perez in 19th. Is he improving? He doesn't improve. Bottas doesn't improve. And, well, we have an elimination there for Carlos Sainz, the two Williams, the two Cadillacs, and the two Aston Martin. Sainz 17th, Albon 18th, Perez 19th, Bottas 20th, Alonso 21st, and Stroll 22nd. Deary me, deary me. So there we go. The usual suspects out in Q1. Ocon gets through. Ocon gets through by 0.02 of a second over Carlos Sainz there. 1.148. So he did a 108.231 and Sainz did a 108.252. So 0.02 of a second gets separating Ocon and Sainz. Hulkenberg got through quite comfortably in the top 15, separated by just 1 second. Big improvements for Lindblad, big improvement by Lawson there at the end. Lawson actually did a faster lap time than Russell, but Russell did improve and was on considerably used softs. So, yes, big improvements at the end there for the track state, but not really needed. I don't know if Lawson's, like, have RB, so this is the thing, have VCarb just used an unnecessary amount of brand new softs there? I feel like they might have done because they were comfortable. Were they comfortable? They're about 1 second? Maybe not. Actually, no, maybe not. Now I think about it, they were 1 second back, weren't they? So yeah, no, I take it back. VCarb didn't need it. There were big improvements at the end. Williams are just just disappointing. Very disappointing. Yeah, very. Russell needing 9 laps to go 5th is a bit concerning. Yeah, he's not happy with the car again. He's not always a yellow flag there. That'll be for gravel. That'll be for gravel. The question is, why did Antonelli and Russell bother coming out again? Yeah, a bit bizarre. Was a little bit bizarre. Maybe Russell wanted to test something out in the car. Maybe he just wanted to There was a bit of front wing change or something. Of course, they're in part firmware now. They can't make any big changes to the car. So that's maybe something that he wanted to just get out there and get a feeling of with, course, Q2 and Q3 underway. Do I think Hamilton will go out on a push lap? Well, yeah, it's qualifying. Every lap's a push lap, pretty much, unless you're on your out lap, of course, and you're in lap. But yeah, no, what Norris and Hamilton have done, and Verstappen have done in particular, and Leclerc, is that they've saved an extra set of brand new softs, and Antonelli and Russell, to be fair. All the top teams saved a brand new set of softs, so they'll be able to use 2 brand new sets in Q2 now, if they so wish. Of course, they might be comfortable in getting through on their first attempt, but they'll be able to use 2 brand new sets in Q2 now, rather than having to use a used set, or they can carry, if they get through this next session without a set of with just 1 set of tyres, they'll have a brand new set of softs to use come the race on Sunday. Not that I think they'll last long, but still. It's going to be a crazy Q2 and Q3. It's going to be insane. It's going to be interesting for sure. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. But if you're just tuning in and you're just joining us, Carlos Sainz, Alex Albon, Sergio Perez, Valtteri Bottas, Fernando Alonso, and Lance Stroll are out of qualifying. Alonso and Lance Stroll, there's half a second difference between the 2 drivers there. Perez and Bottas, I think that's the smallest gap we've seen for some time between Perez and Bottas, but Perez out-qualifying Bottas again. And Carlos Sainz out-qualifying Albon again. 3 tenths difference between them, but all out in Q1. Esteban Ocon got through in P16 into Q2 by 0.02 of a second over Carlos Sainz, and then a bit of a gap between him and the rest of the field. Why is there a yellow? The yellow will be because there's gravel on the outside of turn 6, so drivers will be picking up the gravel and they need to get out there and broom it off, sweep it off. Of course I'm going to do a race stream tomorrow. Of course, I'll be here an hour before the race begins so we can review all of the tyre strategies, tyre allocations, weather, pit stop lost time, etc. All the information you need to keep an eye on for the race ahead tomorrow. Alonso bringing us back to reality by out-qualifying Stroll. Always right in the world. Yeah. I think Williams' leadership needs a shake-up. The current top dogs are not doing a good job. It's a tough one, you know. I mean, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I don't know, obviously, what happened, or we know what happened, but I don't know, obviously, why it failed the crash test. But their first concept was flawed. Simple as. Now, I don't know whose decision-making that is and where that's failed down the pipeline, but their first concept failed the crash tests, and they had to go back to the drawing board and from my understanding, is like, to a degree, redesign the car, go to a plan B option that they probably didn't even have a plan B. They had all their eggs in one basket, and unfortunately, what has happened is they've had to redesign the car and build a car that would pass the crash test, and by doing that, you have to add more weight to the car, which decreases performance, and clearly, that is the position that they're currently in. So, yes, it is definitely a failure of leadership, and it's a failure of the team as a whole, really, which is why they're now in the position they are. Thoughts on Leclerc? Do I think he'll come back to performance? Yeah, I mean, look, just because Leclerc's 9th at the moment in this doesn't mean he's going to be 9th. That first Q1 session is all about just making it through. Also, Leclerc is on a poor run of form at the moment, of course, and he also had missed FP1, so not ideal for him because of the rookie tests. So he is on kind of the back foot to a degree, but I expect him to have a good qualifying, at least a good race tomorrow. What are the investigations for? Don't take any notice in them. It's just maximum delta time, so it's just a safety procedure in there to make sure cars don't go unnecessarily slowly, so that they're causing undue backup of the field, and they never get penalised for it. Right, here we go. Green light. PX Open Q2 is underway. I am finally going to end the poll of who we think is going to get pole. I always forget to end the poll. So poll for poll. Mercedes 42%, Ferrari 39%, Red Bull is 14%, and McLaren 5% with over 3,000 votes in the stream. So, we will see. We will see. I think it's going to be close. If you could get this stream to 1,000 likes, guys, it'd be much appreciated. That thumbs up button, it really does help grow this great community that we've got here. And if you are yet to do so, hit that subscribe button. We've hit, I thought we was nearly at 85,000. We're at 84,000 8,500. So we're 84,500 subscribers, so thank you guys. We are pushing towards that 100,000 subscriber mark and get that silver play button that will be proudly displayed here. So yeah, big thank you everyone for getting us ever closer to it. You think they should bring back the fastest lap point to spice things up? I know, I hated the fastest lap point. I hated it. Time's very close. How fast will pole be? I still said that I think pole will be a mid 106, maybe a low 106 now. I saw the improvement there. Let's see. But Lando Norris is going to be the first driver out onto the track, as you can see him making his way out of the pit lane. And, interesting. He is on the same set of softs here as he was earlier. So he's on the used set of softs. So this isn't going to be a quick lap. But we'll see how it fares for him. And interestingly, the first driver out there and no one else is joining him at the moment. Good for a banker. Good for a banker. You think the 106.7 is going to be pole? Oh, dear. Lando has damaged the car, is what I'm hearing. Oh, dear. Lando has damaged the car on a curb. It is repairable, but I don't know how much time it's going to cost him. That is the nature of this circuit, guys. I said it at the start of this qualifying session that the drivers need to be careful of the curbs. Most likely the underfloor of the car, Alex. Yes, I would presume. This is the nature of the Red Bull Ring. And just because you can be quick around here doesn't mean that your car is going to stay intact. And that could be the case in qualifying today, which can cost you important time. And it can also cost you in the race tomorrow. So yes, that is a feature of this circuit. It always has been the case. And Lando, that makes sense why he's out there early, is that they're trying to ascertain how much performance this has lost him. Let's see. Making his way down through turn 2, which is not a corner, into turn 3. And what is his first time? That's not too shabby. A 16.8 on used tyres. That's not too shabby from Lando Norris there, to be fair. With no toe at all. Expect it to be slower than what is achievable in Q1 with a damaged car and used tyres as well. So 16.7 was his fastest first sector time. So he's only less than a tenth off. Only just less than a tenth off in that first sector. Let's see how his second sector time is. And it's a 29.983. And, well, I'd say that's the first time we've seen Lando... Well, that's the first time we've seen anyone go sub 30 seconds in the middle sector. So that car actually isn't too bad right now, to be honest with you. Let's see how he fares in the last sector. Is this really where the performance is going to suffer or not at all? And, well, it is a 107.3 for Lando on used tyres, which I don't think is too bad. That's not too shabby. That's not too shabby. So I think the damage to the car, the performance... the lack of performance there is minimal. Minimal at most. And on used tyres. So that's a super impressive middle sector time on used tyres. Right. So Max Verstappen out there on a brand new, on a used set of tyres, whereas Hamilton is on a brand new set, as is Hadjar, as is Charles Leclerc. So let's see how Max Verstappen fares on a used set. Is he going to utilise that Red Bull powertrain, which is supposedly, according to the FIA, the best powertrain on the grid right now, and that's not too bad for the first year of development for them, as he does a 16.695 in the first sector, the fourth fastest first sector time we have seen today in qualifying. Not too shabby whatsoever. On used tyres as well, you got to remember, as Isaac Hadjar on brand new tyres, is a couple of tenths off Max, as Max makes his way round turn 4. Need to be careful there to make sure you don't run out too wide and get on power early, so that you touch the gravel trap, as Charles Leclerc goes fastest in the first sector with that brand new power unit in that Ferrari of 16.7. We'll keep an eye on Hamilton's first sector time as he's making his way up the way to turn 3 now, as Max Verstappen doesn't go fastest in the middle sector, but a good time in the middle sector anyway, a 30.0, as Hamilton takes the fastest first sector time away from his teammate by only 3 4 thousandths of a second, sorry. 4 thousandths of a second. So very, very equal first sector times there. As Verstappen does do the fastest last sector time, or takes it away from Lando Norris and does a 107.1. Oh, just over a tenth quicker than Norris, also on a set of used compound tyres. As Hadjar on brand new set does set the fastest last sector, but is just under a tenth, or just over a tenth behind Verstappen at the moment. We have Hamilton out there, 30.2 in the middle sector, not particularly great, as Charles Leclerc does a 107 flat. Not too bad from him as Hamilton approaches the last couple of corners now, as we will see Lawson come across the line, and he does a 107.6, trying to get into Q3. Again, Liam Lawson in the V-carb, as Hamilton comes across the line and only goes second fastest, but sets the fastest last sector. That middle sector really letting Hamilton down at the moment. Otherwise, he would be comfortably ahead of Leclerc, but it is 9 thousandths of a second difference between Leclerc and Hamilton at the top as Antonelli now starts his push lap. George Russell will be starting his as well as he comes around the last corner, as we look at Ocon, who goes 1.6 seconds behind there. A full second separating him and Arvid Lindblad, as Behrman goes 3.5 tenths quicker than his teammates. But Haas very much so off the pace of the V-Carbs, who are doing tremendously well right now on used tyres as well. Lawson, Gasly, just slightly up ahead of V-Carb. It is very much a battle between Alpine and the V-Carbs for these last positions into Q3, you do believe, as Colapinto not too good compared to his teammate, but his teammate was on brand new tyres. Colapinto 1.1 seconds off, 6 attempts off of his teammate, but was on used tyres, guys. As Hulkenberg only goes 11th. Oh, God, he's not going to qualify at 11th again, is he? But let's keep an eye on Antonelli and Russell, as Piastri does a 29.9 in the middle sector. That McLaren is really quick in that middle sector, and Piastri could be laying down a benchmark here, as Antonelli goes fastest with a 106.7, but Piastri comes across the line and could match him depending on his last sector time. And it's a tenth slower than Antonelli, just over a tenth slower, as Antonelli did a 20.1 in the last sector there. Wow. Wow, what a last sector that was for him. How about George Russell, though? He comes around the last couple of corners, George Russell. He's 16.6 in the middle sector. He's, oh, no, he's backed out of it, George. He's backed out of it. George has backed out of it and is currently 16th position. Wow. Wow, so let's have a look at your sector times here, shall we? And this is, of course, through Q1 as well, bearing in mind. This is also an indication this is them all throughout qualifying. And Hamilton has the fastest first sector time there. Second sector time is 9th fastest, Hamilton. Struggling to hook it up at the moment. He's actually slower than Lawson and Gasly and Isaac Hadjar. So if he can do a 30.0... that instantly takes off 2 tenths off of his lap time and puts him a lot closer to Antonelli, as he has the second fastest time in the last sector. Piastri also really quick in the middle sector, but suffering in that last sector. The McLarens, not quite sure what's going on with their car there. Or, of course, I say suffering in relation to Antonelli, that is, at the moment, who is the benchmark. As watching a replay of Pierre Gasly as he came through the last corner, and as the car, oh my goodness, Pierre Gasly on his lap. As he comes out of the last corner, the car bottoms out, and he went into a power steer and still was able to set a lap time that he did quicker than Lawson and Lindblad, but it was on new tyres, so lost some important time there out of the last corner. To be fair, being so quick in sectors 1 and 3 will help with overtaking. It will indeed. And this is why I think if you are Lewis Hamilton, who's in the championship, right, you expect probably maybe to come in this weekend and go, we're probably not going to beat Mercedes over a single lap. But a race distance? And if he stays within touching distance of Antonelli and finishes on the podium, he's minimising the amounts of points lost between himself and Antonelli, or he might even be able to sneak a position over Antonelli come the end of the race tomorrow. So I think the race is going to be very different compared to how qualifying goes. Oh, yeah. Piastri has some weird lines, almost like some graining in his front right tyre. That's really odd. Right. Why Russell doesn't have a lap time yet? Because he bowed out of his lap in Sector 2. So that's why he's out there again on this same set of tyres. So he should only need to do this lap to get through. I say should. Of course, but he has been on the back foot again compared to his teammates right this weekend. Lando Norris is out there on a brand new set this time around, so they've clearly assessed the damage and seen that it's quite minimal. in relation to affecting his performance. So he should be able to go a lot quicker here on a brand new set of tyres. And, well, that McLaren is super quick in the middle sector. I'm intrigued to see how quick Lando can go in that middle sector, to be honest with you, because he did a 29.983, second fastest, and he did that on a set of used tyres last time around. So we'll see how Lando fares, as George Russell is creating a bit of a gap between him and Lando. He doesn't want to receive any dirty air whatsoever from the McLaren. So let's keep an eye on Lando Norris, shall we, as he crosses the start-finish line to start his second time lap here in Q2 on a brand new set. Of course, race winner here last year, Lando Norris, your defending world champion, but unfortunately hasn't been really given an opportunity to defend his world championship because of the ridiculous unreliability of that McLaren, which has reared its ugly head here this weekend as well, with Lando missing pretty much the majority of FP1, as he does a 16.7 in the first sector, as George Russell's engineer has been told, just drive, George. So he is trying to rebuild some confidence to George. Just drive. Very simple as instructions. Let's see if George is able to do so. As he does a 16.7 also in the first sector. Lando, though, making his way through this middle sector. Let's see how this McLaren fares here. Is it purple for Lando in the middle sector? It is! It's a 29.8. That McLaren is supreme in that middle sector, but is he going to be able to maintain that pace in the last? This is where the pace drop-off really occurs for McLaren over this lap here at the Red Bull Ring. Round the last corner for Lando on a brand new set of tyres. What can he do in Q2? And it is only third place, and you can see the drop-off there. He's only 7th fastest in the last sector. Maybe they're just running out of battery. Maybe it's a deployment strategy for McLaren. And they're losing time in that last sector, but their cornering ability is really good. As George Russell, there we go, George, on a second push lap on that same set of softs, does a 106.9. That will be comfortable into Q3, but we now have the track getting much busier here as we are into the closing stages of Q2. Who's going to make it into Q3? Who's going to be out here? I do think it is a battle between Alpine and the V-Carbs for those last two positions in the top 10, because you do expect Hadjar and upwards, the top 8 drivers, the top 4 teams, to make it through to Q3 quite comfortably. Let's see who, if it's going to be V-Carb, is it going to be Alpine? Could Behrman mix it up there? I do think Haas have fallen off here, and Hulkenberg and Bortoletto in the Audis just looks like they're falling a touch short. But let's see. Right, so Antonelli's also back out there. That's interesting. Antonelli's out there. Is in this? I guess it's all about rhythm. I guess it's all about rhythm for Antonelli to get out there and just try and get in the zone for Q3. Lewis Hamilton is back out there as well. He's on the same set of softs. We have seen improvement there from George Russell on the second set of softs. So Charles Leclerc has gone green in the middle sector. There we go. That's better from Lewis. A much better middle sector from Lewis Hamilton. The first time we've seen him do a 30 flat in the middle sector. Isaac Hadjar's gone green. Liam Lawson's gone green. So Charles Leclerc doesn't improve at 107.3. Let's see if Hamilton can improve there as he comes around the last corner. Has the tyres held out in that last sector? They have indeed, as he does a 106.994 and moves himself ahead of Charles Leclerc on a used set. As Pierre Gasly comes across the line to start his lap, Isaac Hadjar moves himself up ahead of Max Verstappen into P7 there. But Liam Lawson, he is currently in P10. He's trying to get into Q3. He has moved himself up into P8 ahead of Max Verstappen, who is in the pits right now. Well, as Verstappen is 10th, as Lawson and Lindblad have moved Verstappen down into 10th place. Lawson and Lindblad looking to get through as Max is not coming out here. And well, this is there improvement here as Ocon moves up into P12. Pierre Gasly and Colapinto. Gasly is improving in that first sector as Behrman moves only up into 11th, 3 tenths behind Verstappen. Is this a mistake here by Red Bull? All eyes on the Alpines as Hulkenberg can only move up into 13th. Bortoletto, what can he do? Is he going to move ahead of his teammate? Is he going to push Max Verstappen out? Oh, so close. Just over a 10th for Verstappen and Bortoletto. It's all about Gasly and Colapinto as Gasly rounds the last corner as he comes across the line. It's all on Gasly. It's all on Gasly. And oh my goodness, 0.04 of a second. Max Verstappen survives by the skin of his teeth as Pierre Gasly falls 0.04 of a second short of Verstappen, his former teammate, he could have knocked him out here. And Max and Red Bull breathe a sigh of relief in the garage as Max gets through in P10. Colapinto didn't even get an opportunity. I'm not sure what happened to him. Maybe an issue, or he ran wide at turn 1. He ran wide at turn 1, Colapinto, so he didn't even get an opportunity to do a final push lap on that set of brand new tyres. He starts 16th, so driver error from Colapinto. But Gasly so close there. Big improvements at the end. But Lawson and Lindblad have split the two Red Bulls. Lawson is 0.05 of a second behind Hadjar. Lindblad is 0.07 of a second behind Hadjar. Great driving from Lawson and Lindblad, the pair. Another Q3 performance for them, seeking their 3rd race in a row for double points for the VCarb team. Verstappen there. Wow, 107.183. Gasly, 107.223. 0.04 of a second difference. Gasly is out in 11th. We lost Bortoletto in 12th. Behrman in 13th. Hulkenberg 14th. Ocon in 15th. And Colapinto in 16th. My, oh my. My, oh my. Just escaped. Just escaped. What were they thinking? What were they thinking? Thank you, Golden. Much appreciated. Oh, wee, oh, wee, oh, wee. Guys, hit that like button if you can. Be much appreciated. And hit that subscribe button as well. My goodness, my goodness. How many likes are we at, actually? Are we at 1,000 likes? We're nearly at 1,000 likes. Go on, guys. You can do it. Hit that like button. Right. Oh, dearie me. Right, little one has just woken up. She couldn't last another 8 minutes. 12 minutes. Okay. Right. Got to go bring her in and put Peppa Pig on. Bear with me, guys. There we go. She's set up. She's set up. She's good. Right. Gasly says, that felt like a very good lap. Tell me we are through. He knew it was a good one. It so nearly was. Pierre Gasly. 0.04 of a second separating him as Behrman is really angry. He says that was a really pretty good lap. Sorry, he's really upset with his lap time, but that's the most that he says he could get out of that car. So the pass, not at it. Out qualifying though his teammate again by a tenth and a half, 2.5 tenths there at Behrman to Ocon, 13th to 15th, and yeah, adds to that, adds to his current tally of out qualifying Esteban Ocon this season. Do I think the new RB upgrades will improve the car a lot and maybe challenge the Ferraris and Mercedes? In time, maybe, but I don't think it's quite evident here right now. Probably not. But never say never when it comes to a push lap, a full push lap by Max Verstappen, and even Isaac Hadjar improved there. But yeah, look, 3 tenths is quite a wide margin when it comes to a single lap. If it's only 10 corners long, isn't it? So really hope to see Behrman in one of the top teams. He has so much potential. One day, hopefully. Yeah, one day. Hey, Jackie, good to see you. Any chance of a win in a world with Alex? What, Alex Albon? No, probably not right now. Hey, what's up? Are you hungry? Oh, I'll give her some snacks. I'll go ply her with snacks for the next 12 minutes. That's all we need. Right, 13 minutes. Right, green light, pit exit open. Little one has been plied with snacks. Here we go. Q3 underway. Who's going to be on pole position? Let's go. Let's go. Woo. Oh, not a hope from Alex Albon. Alex done, Jackie. Alex done. I don't know. Never say never. Right time, right place. I feel like he might have missed his opportunity. I don't know. Would he miss his opportunity? I don't know. There's always a possibility. With F2 trying to make it into F1 these days, we've obviously just had an influx of rookies. There may be a seat potentially for Haas with Esteban Ocon. But I don't know. It's tricky. It's tricky. Right. Who is my top 3? What is my top 3 going to be? I think Antonelli is looking like pole. I really do. I think top 3 will be Antonelli, Hamilton, Leclerc. I don't think George has it in him. I think there's something not quite right with George at the moment. I don't know about Verstappen. Maybe Verstappen could be up there. Maybe Verstappen instead of Leclerc. I think Antonelli is definitely the driver to beat. I think Antonelli on pole, Hamilton second, and I think Verstappen third, maybe. Verstappen on Leclerc third. That's who I think. I think the McLarens are just going to... I think that it seems to be that their last sector just isn't there. Maybe a different deployment strategy being implemented by the 2 McLarens. George Russell just looks like he's not... He's a step behind this weekend again. Yeah. I think keep an eye on the V-carbs, you know. I think the V-carbs could cause an upset. I mean, look at the pace Lawson and Lindblad had there. But probably only going to qualify 9th and 10th, but we'll see. We'll see. My pleasure, Aaron. My pleasure. Yes, guys, we are into the last 10 minutes here of Q3. No drivers out there yet. It's going to be 2 push laps for the drivers here on 2 brand new sets, undoubtedly. Unless your name is Lawson and Lindblad, most likely, because they have 2... Probably only 1 brand new set available. Maybe Hadjar as well. But I think everyone else has 2 brand new sets available. Short track here, of course. Just over a minute long. I do expect pole position to probably be about a mid 106. But who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? Pole position isn't the be-all and end-all here, of course, because of how the overtaking opportunities are plenty here at the Red Bull Ring. And the race tomorrow is a long one, and it's going to be a hot one, just like qualifying has been as well. So your tyres may last over a single push lap, but will they last over a full stint on high fuel? And on a hot track surface tomorrow with other cars around you, we will see. So Lando Norris out on a brand new set of tyres. As expected, I think Isaac Hadjar is on a used set. I think he used an extra set earlier on. Piastri on a brand new set. Verstappen on a brand new set. Charles Leclerc on a brand new set as well. Lewis Hamilton. Remember, really, the later you go out, theoretically speaking, the quicker your lap time can be because the track is in a better state. But it is riskier, of course. It is a lot riskier because if there are yellow flags, then your lap can be interrupted. So Lewis Hamilton not waiting to be the last driver to come across the finish line here, unlike he was in Barcelona. That is going to go to Kimi Antonelli and George Russell. To the two Mercedes duo have waited to the end here to get track position. Will that benefit them? We will see. So, other than Isaac Hadjar, Liam Lawson and Arvid Lindblad, everyone here has brand new sets of tyres available to them. Let's see who is going to get provisional pole here on this first attempt in Q3. Lando Norris will start us off here as he crosses the start-finish line, as there is an incident involving Lindblad noted for an unsafe release. Obviously into someone's path there. But Lando makes his way around turn 1. Former race winner here. Last year's race winner and your defending world champion makes his way up to turn 3, which has caused plenty of issues here this weekend, including Lando Norris, who went through turn 3 backwards yesterday, or round backwards after he went through that corner. But he's got a 16.645 in that first sector. That's pretty decent. 16.6 is the fastest we have seen here this weekend from Lewis Hamilton, until your name is Max Verstappen, that is, as he's done a 16.5, who's only a couple of cars behind Lando Norris as he makes his way through the middle sector. This sector belongs to McLaren this weekend. And there we go, a 29.9 for Lando Norris. Only 4 drivers have gone sub 30 seconds in that middle sector. Will Hadjar or Verstappen be able to join them as Lando Norris comes around the last couple of corners here as the Ferraris have started their lap? As Lando Norris rounds turn 10, the last corner as Antonelli starts his lap here as Lando Norris sets a 106.9 with a purple last sector there. That's full fastest sector we have seen as Max Verstappen did go sub 30 seconds in the middle sector. He didn't just go sub 30 seconds, he smashed it with a 29.7 as Hadjar sets the fastest start sector but only goes second place on used tyres. But Max Verstappen goes provisional pole with a 106.475. He got through to Q3 by the skin of his teeth, and now he's put some margin on Lando Norris and Piastri by 0.2 of a second. As there are no purple sectors from Hamilton, Leclerc, Antonelli or Russell. But Antonelli and Russell are going at a fair rate of knots with that Mercedes power unit in the first sector. Antonelli, our championship leader, our youngest ever championship leader, goes through the second sector with a 29.8 at the moment. Max Verstappen, advantage, the Dutchman. But will it last as Antonelli puts his foot down as Hamilton has had to back out of the middle sector? Hamilton backing out of the middle sector as Antonelli rounds the last corner as Lawson moves up into P6 ahead of his teammate. But Antonelli goes P1 by 0.06 of a second, a sub 20 last sector. My goody God, as George Russell comes across the line and goes second fastest, 0.04 of a second between the two Mercedes drivers. Max Verstappen in P3 by 0.06 of a second behind Antonelli. He's less than 0.02 of a second behind Russell. And wow, Leclerc could only do P5. It's Piastri P4, just under 3/10 back from Max Verstappen. Charles Leclerc is 3.5 back from Piastri. We have Norris 4 and nearly 5 behind Leclerc. Hadjar 9 behind on a set of used tyres. Lawson 1.1 seconds behind. Lindblad 1.2 seconds behind. And Hamilton, the only driver yet to set a lap as he made an error in the middle sector. But wow. Wow, Mercedes showing that power unit, and Red Bull with Max Verstappen also showing off the fastest power unit according to the FIA, which is what everyone has been benchmarked against. Well, Max Verstappen got through by 0.04 of a second into Q3, and now he lines up provisionally P3, 0.06 of a second behind the Mercedes of Antonelli, and only separated from Antonelli by George Russell. Oh, Lewis Hamilton not happy about the bank of... We're supposed to have banker fuel. Why? Oh, dearie me. Just locked up into turn 3. So Lewis Hamilton just locked up. A little lock up into turn 3. Not enough fuel in the Ferrari of Lewis Hamilton. Please don't touch Russell's car. We're living rent-free. Rent-free, yeah. Russell has put it together when he needed it, yes. So 106.414 is currently provisional pole for Kimi Antonelli. George Russell second with Verstappen third. Let's have a look at the sector times there. And, well, you can see that Verstappen fastest in the first and middle sector over Kimi Antonelli. But the last sector, Antonelli was 2.5 tenths up on Verstappen in the last sector. Wow, that is some margin, absolutely some margin there. So George Russell really turned it up. That's the fastest first sector George Russell has done all day. And in the middle sector as well. Look, identical middle sector times there from Antonelli and George Russell. And then Antonelli, the difference is the last sector. The difference is the last sector. Look at that. There was 1,000. George was actually 1,000th of a second up on Antonelli when it came to sector 2. But the last sector, Antonelli just turned on 0.5 tenth on Russell. And that is why he is where he is. Slim margin. Slim margin. So, 3 minutes remaining now of this session. Drivers now leaving their pit lane, their pit box, for the last time here in Q3 for the Austrian Grand Prix for round 8 of the 2026 Championship. Who is going to qualify on pole position here? Currently, that honour belongs to Kimi Antonelli, a championship leader. Will he out-qualify George Russell? George Russell will be wanting to get one over Kimi, of course. And what a steal that would be if George Russell can get pole position from Antonelli, because really he has been one step behind all weekend, more than one step behind Kimi Antonelli all weekend. So I think George, even now, would take second place, to be honest, and an all front row so that he can challenge Antonelli up into turn 3 tomorrow. And even into turn 1. But Verstappen, well, he's going to have a role to play in this, you do suspect. As Antonelli, Russell and Verstappen are on brand new tyres, that indicator will roll down to 0 when in due course. As we can see that Verstappen is on new, Piastri new. Everyone here is on brand new tyres for this last attempt in Q3. Hamilton still yet to set a lap time. He is 10th as it stands, and that would not be good for his championship hopes in a car that has the potential to be, I think, minimum second row here. Front row, maybe not, push comes to shove. But let's see. Isaac Hadjar is the first driver to start. He is currently in P7. He's only done a lap on a set of hard compound tyres. But let's stay on board with Lewis Hamilton, second in the Drivers' World Championship in that Ferrari. We had high expectations for him here this weekend. He made an error into turn 3 on his first attempt. Let's see how it goes for Lewis Hamilton this time around as he makes his way up into the turn 3 corner where he locked up earlier on, over 320 kilometers an hour there. And it seems he's hit his braking point this time around. And it's a 16.521 for Lewis Hamilton in the first sector. The second fastest time we have seen in the second sector today, as Lawson does a 16.6. We'll keep an eye on Charles Leclerc as well as he comes across that time and goes even quicker. A 16.485 for Charles Leclerc. But can he hit the apex of turn 3 just like his teammate did that time around? I think he's been able to, as Hamilton comes through the second sector line now. It's a 29.6. It's purple in the middle for Lewis Hamilton. He hasn't set a time now. It's all about 2 more corners remaining. We'll keep an eye on Charles as Hadjar crosses the line and moves up to 4th. But Lewis, he goes through turn 9. He goes through turn 10. His foot to the floor across the line as his teammate goes purple in the middle. And it's provisional pole for Hamilton. But for how long? By 6 thousandths of a second over Antonelli, because he's gone even quicker. quicker. His teammates going even quicker as Charles Leclerc, who has been on such a poor run of form, as George goes even quicker in the first sector. But Charles goes provisional pole by 600ths of a second from his teammate. It's currently an all Ferrari front row. But for how long? As Max has gone purple. I've never seen so many purple sectors being traded here in the last lap of a qualifying session. As Lando goes 6th, Piastri goes 7th. As Max is off, and he's put. It's a yellow flag, and Antonelli has to back out of his lap. George is going to have to back out of his lap, and Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton will line up on the front row as Max is off at turn 10, as Antonelli doesn't improve. Drama here at the last stages of this Q3 session, and well, George goes pole. George has gone pole, but I am not sure that will be a lap that will be counted. Surely that will not be counted due to the yellows of Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen, where did he go? Is he off into the wall? As George Russell kept his foot in it and is going to let the stewards make the decision for him. But I don't think they'll be looked upon too kindly, as Max did go round. Oh my good, big crash for Max, straight into the wall. The rear slapped on him, and Max, who was purple in the middle sector, goes round. But George Russell kept his foot in it, and I think George Russell will have that pole position relinquished. And I think George Russell could be receiving a grid place penalty for tomorrow. That is, I get his reasoning. So George Russell technically right now is on pole position. But there's no way. Did he lift off sufficiently? This is what we need to see. We will have to see, but I'm not sure George improves by 2.5 tenths, 3 tenths over Hamilton, 2.5 tenths over Leclerc if he doesn't lift. Double wave yellow. Oh my goodness, my goodness. So, hang on. So double wave yellow's lap time shouldn't count, and it was a double wave yellow as George Russell came through that section. So George's lap counts at the moment, but I do presume that he will have a big penalty coming his way. They do not look kindly on yellow, double yellow, well, anything really, speeding under yellows. It will be at minimum a 5-place grid penalty, I think, for George Russell. That's 5, I think. Is it 5? But let's look back at it. As look at that. Kimmy says I had double yellow. Kimmy says I had double yellow on my dash. As he says, yeah, Bono, but I don't understand. You told me yellow. As George is claiming he's got pole. As there we go, confirmation of a yellow flag infringement by George Russell. And I think this will be a pretty easy one. As A-Firm, yes, I had double yellow. We'll have a look through that, see what your dash was trying to tell you. As Kimmy does lift off. Just watch the onboard of Kimmy, and he clearly lifts off. So he lift off. His lap time counts, but the thing is, Kimmy could not improve because he had to lift off. So it is pole position, I believe, for Charles Leclerc. It is an all-Ferrari front row for the Austrian Grand Prix tomorrow. Provisionally, it will be Antonelli P3 with George Russell in P4, but I believe George Russell will receive a grid place penalty. He is cheering at the moment as he gets out of his car, George Russell. He is making the stewards decide for him. He is being investigated for a yellow flag infringement. Let's have a run through of your grid provisionally, though. George Russell pole, but I do believe a penalty is coming his way for speeding under double yellows for Max Verstappen's crash. Charles Leclerc second, Hamilton third, Antonelli fourth, Verstappen crashed there. Hopefully that car does not have significant damage. It went sideways in, so that could be damage to the gearbox, to the engine of that Red Bull powertrain that he may need repairing tomorrow, and it could be starting from dead last, or not even starting the race tomorrow, starting from the pit lane. It's Verstappen 5th, Norris 6th, Piastri 7th, Hadjar 8th, Lawson 9th, Lindblad 10th, Gasly 11th, Bortoletto 12th, Behrman 13th, Hulkenberg 14th, Ocon 15th, Colapinto 16th, Sainz 17th, Albon 18th, Perez 19th, Bottas 20th, Alonso 21st, and Stroll 22nd. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. So that yellow flag at the end for Verstappen has allowed, really, I think, Leclerc and Hamilton to start on the front row tomorrow, because otherwise Russell and Antonelli were definitely shooting it out for pole position. Wowee, wowee. George is waiting. George is waiting. They're waiting to do the interviews. George has driven his car into pole position slot. He has celebrated, but we are awaiting news. Charles Leclerc is very subdued right now, Charles. He's talking to George. No celebrations from Charles just yet about being P2. So we will see. You don't see Max spin the car very often. Was there a gust of wind? It looked like the rear just went out on it. As soon as he touched the brakes, the rear just went round on him. So, yeah. It just... I think that's probably technical. As soon as he touched the rear. So, which takes precedence? The onboard notifications or the flags that should be visible to the drivers? Both, really. I think they're both seen as the same sense. Like, you should always have your... You should always have your wits about you. So let's have a look. I'm going to go back on my own channel. And we can have a look here. So, if we go back and we have a look here. So, I'm sorry for all the confusion here. So, let's move that over the way. So, right. Oh, no, hang on. So, right, let's see. I'm trying to move this down. Hang on. So George says he was 5 temps up. Saying it was a single yellow. So where is the... Right, here we go. Here we go. So it's yellow flag. It's double yellow. It's saying double yellow in sector 15. It's double yellow. This section's double yellow. I mean, he's saying it was single yellow, but it's double yellow. Or sector... Does that say sector 14? When does it go double... Surely... Oh, hang on. That's the in-lap. Sorry. That's the in-lap. I'm an idiot. So Max goes off. Oh, he might get away with it, you know. The double yellow, it was single yellow, it wasn't double. He might get away with it. He might get away with it. Is it no further investigation? No further investigation. He lifted. He lifted. George did the lap. George on pole. Wow. Wow. Clever, then. So, George Russell, no further investigation. And he was up. He was up a lot. He was up a lot. So, no idea about single and yellow, double yellow. So, single yellow means you have to slow. You have to slow, but you don't have to be slowing enough to come to a stop. That is, so you need to show that you've slowed down for the area. And that's what happened for George there. George was clearly very, very up. Very, very up. He says he was half a second up on that last lap. How? Unbelievable pace from them in the last lap there. But he's clearly lifted enough sufficiently so that has satisfied his time to still be counted. Now, what a double yellow is that in qualifying, if there is a double yellow, your lap time will not be counted. As you just saw, all of these laps here, all these double yellows have been discounted, which is like they're in laps basically. But when it's a double yellow in qualifying, your lap times are deleted, they don't count. And basically a double yellow is that you need to slow down enough to be able to come to a stop. So a double yellow, speeding under double yellows is frowned upon dramatically. It's massively looked down upon. You saw Lando Norris get a drive-through penalty or a stop-and-go penalty for it in Qatar a couple of years ago when he was deemed to have been speeding under a double yellow. So it is more severe, basically. So there we go. George Russell is on pole position by 2 and a bit tenths from Charles Leclerc. Lewis Hamilton 3 tenths behind nearly George Russell. Obscene pace from George Russell there in that last lap. He said he was half. For him to be able to lift off for the yellow flag into turn 9 and still out-qualify Ferrari by 2 tenths and Lewis Hamilton in the Ferrari by 3 tenths is wild. It's absolutely wild. But no further investigation for George Russell. He is on pole position. So our top 10 is Russell, Leclerc, Hamilton, Antonelli 4th, Verstappen 5th, Norris 6th, Piastri 7th, Hadjar 8th, Lawson 9th, and Lindblad is 10th. What a dramatic end to that qualifying. Jeez. George Russell's race, in the race, that pace will be non-existent. Well, we'll see. We will see. Russell's lap didn't get... No, George Russell's lap didn't get deleted. No, I thought it would do. I thought there's no way you're that quick and you still lifted off. But he says he was 5 tenths up, so he was clearly double yellow deleted. So all the laps that have been deleted for double yellows. So... 100-meter lift, Toto Wolff is just reporting now. Toto doesn't look happy when George has success, by the way. Have you noticed that? Like, Toto doesn't look happy when George gets pole or does something well over Kimi. I know Kimi's 4th, but yeah. Sky is saying that the laps may be deleted. No, the laps have all been confirmed now. They've written it off. So George had a 100-meter lift. The stewards have seen that. They've got the data. They've got the traces, the immediate speeds, and so forth. And they will be able to see. I mean, we could even see it on ours. To be fair, that he went from 311 down to like 280 odd or something. So he definitely did lift. The Doughty gets to defend from the exalted. I mean, it's a brilliant lap. I can't believe he was 5 tenths up, man. Kimi said he had double wave yellows on his dash. Well, they were checking. But he's saying I had double yellows. So maybe there was something there that came through that was incorrect. Or maybe he just thought it was double yellow. I don't know. Obviously, they'll look into it. Sector times, yeah, I'll get up in 2 secs. People think that Kimi's got a race in like they aren't human too and sometimes aren't lucky. Yeah, exactly. But George didn't lift like Kimi did. He was less than 1 tenth ahead of Kimi through Sector 2. Yeah, I mean, Kimi, it would have been very close between the 2 Mercedes, that's for sure. But Kimi thought it was a double yellow. He lifted more sufficiently and did what he was supposed to do in a double yellow. But clearly he's got the wrong information. So here are the sector times. You can see that Russell and Antonelli, not a lot separating them for the first sector. Russell second there in the second sector. Max Verstappen's last sector there, middle sector there, was unbelievable. He was setting a tremendous time, but then, yeah, lost it into turn 9, which is very uncharacteristic of him. I do think that's more... it could be a loss of grip where he's pushed so hard in the middle sector, but I think it's more so he's probably just touched the brakes and the engine's probably gone round. The engine's caused that that rear to come round on him, as we've seen through turn 3 in particular, and a couple of times this season. And then the last sector, yeah, George still did a 20 flat there. So George is not getting a penalty. No, confirmed. George is on pole position. This is your grid for tomorrow. Hamilton, say Hamilton. Verstappen's time may be, not his time, but Verstappen may not start from 5th. He went into the wall at quite some speed. He is okay, but he went in sideways, and F1 cars are not made to have impacts on the side. So that does normally a lot of damage to the internal components of the car, the gearbox, the engine. He may have to take some new components. They may have to break part Fermi. So we'll see where he's going to start from tomorrow. But race on tomorrow. Yeah, race on tomorrow. Pole with a yellow. I mean, it is crazy, pole with a yellow, and pole by over 2 tenths from Charles Leclerc. And that just shows how fast the Mercedes were going. Like George says he was 5.5 tenths up on his dash. 5.5 tenths up at that point. Like, he was going to do a 105. Antonelli was going to do a 105. That's how quick they were going. And even with a 100-meter lift, according to Toto Wolff, and the data suggests that, and going for a yellow flag, he still was able to out-qualify the Ferraris by over 2 tenths. That is obscene pace, obscene. Which is why my first instinct was like, surely he hasn't lifted. Surely he's just kept his foot in it. Because to do that is crazy. But that's how much up he was. He's hoping for the magic Ferrari start tomorrow. Well, it's going to be interesting, isn't it? Up into turn 3. Is Antonelli going to do what he did last year? Like, turn 3 is going to be really interesting tomorrow in the start of the race. And the race in general that's a good grid for tomorrow. That is a good grid. And look, is Antonelli going to be... How aggressive is he going to be? Obviously, still, even though it's early on in the season, he's still got a lot more to lose, hasn't he, than everyone else, because of how far ahead he is. 41 points. He's got George Russell ahead of him. He's got his teammate who's chasing him ahead of him. He's got Lewis ahead of him. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. He has pace, so... Fred Vasseur is at the steward's room. Is he actually? Mercs are going to blitz Silverstone. Oh, Silverstone, they're going to be... Yeah. They're going to be obscene. Kimmy's fans already starting with the copium for tomorrow. Well, look, I expected maybe a little bit more from McLaren. I don't think they're clearly, yeah, they're off of it, aren't they, at the moment? Not a lot to separate in Norris and Piastri. But the race tomorrow could be different. Mercedes is definitely hiding how fast those cars can go. I don't think they're hiding it. Let's have a look at what people are saying online. Some people are questioning it, understandably. Can't see it yet. No one's... I mean, everyone's kind of like, how has that been allowed to stand? But there you go. Kimmy should play the long game tomorrow, not take chances on that one. Just use his pace to try and get past Charles and possibly Lewis as well. Yeah, look, it's a long race tomorrow. It's a long race. I don't think the Ferraris are going to disappear. I don't think the Mercedes have this all-powerful car. Oh, hang on. Hang on. They're interviewing Fred Vasseur right now. Sorry, just listen to Fred Vasseur. So he's saying to have a clear opinion on it, we need to have the data, and we don't have the data yet. So, Gohan, thank you for the $4.99. Much appreciated. What did you say here? Why can I not see it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Do I think the Ferrari curse will strike tomorrow? Do incredible last race, but all for the next? I don't think so. No. I like that, by the way. I'm liking it for the donation, so thank you, buddy. No, I don't think so. I think Ferrari. I think they're just a different team now, aren't they? They're a different team. So I think Ferrari are going to fare well tomorrow. I really do. I think Leclerc is good round here. I think Hamilton will be thinking not so much about beating his teammate, he'll be thinking about beating Antonelli. Like he's quite far ahead in the championship. So if he can finish ahead of the two Mercedes, I mean, look, Ferrari I think have got a good chance of a 1-2 tomorrow. So it'll be interesting to see how the race fares. And having two cars in there rather than one will be interesting for Ferrari over Mercedes. And that Mercedes may try and do the undercut and everything as well. We may have safety cars tomorrow. So it's going to be interesting. How has that taken Sky so long, by the way? Sky are like, oh, well, but there was a lap time that was deleted. They were saying there was a lap time that was deleted for double yellows. It's like, if you had access to the live data, which I'm sure F1 does, you can clearly see that it's the lap that it was their in laps, because everyone's had their lap time deleted for double yellows. Bit bizarre, bit bizarre, but there we go. Quali has ended. Yes, this is your provisional grid for tomorrow. Lewis looks so fast on one of his weaker tracks, looking scary for Charles. Yeah, going to be interesting tomorrow. Of course, good starts. There's opportunities for overtakes down into turn 1, turn 4. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, Sky Sport's a little slow. It does seem it, yeah. Can Max start, or does he have too much damage? Well, this will be the question tomorrow, is how much damage has he received from that impact? Because it's quite a large one. He went in sideways as well, and F1 cars do not like impacts on the side. So, depends if there might be damage to the gearbox, damage to the engine. We'll see. Max just isn't that great without a car that's the fastest by a mile. Plus the younger talent on the grid, I think his time is coming to an end. I disagree, because I think without a technical issue there, and I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and say that was a technical issue. He could have been on pole. Or challenging for pole. So, no. Look, doesn't matter how good you are, you can't outperform the car. I know people say, oh, you outperform the car, but you can't. You are limited to the machinery underneath you. And it's how you're able to extract that pace out of it. And some drivers are better extracting the pace out of cars than others, and that's what the greats do. And Max Verstappen is one of those drivers who can extract pace out of a car more so than most drivers on the grid. And look, ultimately, you're not going to be able to win all the time. That's just Formula 1. It's an engineering game as much as it is a driving game. So, but the best drivers find themselves in the best cars because the best teams and the best engineers want their drivers. Hang on. Oh, did he actually go in too quick? Hang on. Oh no, actually it was driver error. I'll take it back. Yeah, Max did that. Max just went into that corner too quickly. Chasing lap time. So there we go. It was a rare. See, they all do it. The greats do it as well. It was a driver error into turn 9 for Max Verstappen. He carried too much speed and lost the rear. Did Russell speed during the flag? No, he lifted. Hang on. Can't remember Max's last mistake. Max's last mistake was probably the one that comes to my mind is the spin in Hungary. But he still won by like 30 plus seconds, didn't he? So Antonelli actually didn't see a double yellow. He's interpreting that what he saw was a double yellow, but actually it was a single yellow as well. So they're analysing it now. If you push as hard as Verstappen does, you put it in the wall through corners every now and then. Yeah, and look, it just shows that he was going for pole. He clearly knew that maybe turn 9 was a corner or the last sector was where he needed to make up some time. And the car just didn't have the level of grip underneath him. And like he might have done if he wasn't as quick in that middle sector. Maybe the tyres still had a little bit enough grip in them. He probably had. The tyres might have had enough to get through turn 9 with as much speed as he was carrying, but because he went potentially so quick through turn 2, those tyres were turn 2 to through sector 2. Maybe those tyres were just a bit hotter than normal, and that's why they couldn't cope with the speed that he tried to enter turn 9 with. Hang on. Please show sets of times. Yeah, I've shown them before, but I'll show them again. You think Lewis will win tomorrow? I think the race is really up for grabs tomorrow. I don't think just because you're in the lead tomorrow, you're going to be able to drive off into the distance. I don't think it's that sort of race. Turn 9 was the only place he was losing time to Kimi. Well, yeah, then that would be why he was trying to obviously get some extra time out of it. And he would have seen how much he was up on his Delta as well. But how is he still pole if he only lifted the gas? Because he was up so much anyway. So he was already up half a second, over half a second by the time he came up to the yellow flag. No, they might wait. I mean, I am saying this is provisional, by the way. This is your provisional starting grid for tomorrow, and there may be a protest. There may not be a protest. They need to see the data, don't they? And Fred Vasseur did say that we don't have the telemetry yet from George Russell, so we need to see it. We need to wait. I can't form an opinion on it until I've seen it. So. Red Bull best powertrain, your backside. Well, the thing is that they may genuinely have the best internal combustion engine, but they may not have the best battery. They may not have the best utilization of it all, of the recovery. And this is the problem with kind of the whole Enduro thing, is that the FIA have kind of just tried to simplify it. Okay. I'll be with you in a second. Yeah, come in. Yeah. We'll have some food, yeah, in a minute. I'll be with you in a second, okay? But yeah, the way that they measure it is the testing procedure is a joke. Yeah, that's basically it, Aaron. Like, they need to. It feels like a bit of laziness, doesn't it? Really, to be honest with you, if the power is dependent on 50-50 of the electrical component and the ICE, surely you need to test both and test it as a whole. Now, I don't know how you go about that because I'm not an engineer, and I'm not a scrutineer, but surely there's possibilities. But there we go. Hard to see that he gained over 0.4 seconds between Sector 2 and the yellow flag. I don't know, but this is it. This is what we'll see, won't we? This is what we'll see. And it's then also how sufficient is did he slow? Was it? It's all, yeah, and I think in the rules as well, when I've looked at this, I think in the rules it's subjective, so there isn't a defined limit or a defined amount in speed that you have to drop under a yellow flag. It is subjective to the marshals, to the stewards, and if they deem that that is sufficient to them, that's fine. But if it was a different set of stewards, they might deem that actually he didn't slow enough. So it's, yeah, F1, F1 and stewarding. Ferrari have the data. They pretending they don't is a joke. Well, they may have basic data like we've got, but they want the intricate data that the FIA has access to. They won't have that, like the in-car telemetry data. They won't have that, Ferrari. They'll have their own cars, but they won't have Mercedes. They'll only have what we've got to a degree, which is you can see he slowed this or whatever, or you'll be able to see a throttle trace afterwards. But the actual specifics, the FIA will have. It's good that Hamilton got his fast lap before the yellow flag. Yeah, definitely. But there we go, guys. That is it from me. A very dramatic end to qualifying there. Very dramatic end. I've never seen so many purple sectors traded in that last lap. And it clearly showed that the track ramped up in its speed at the end. George says he was over half a second up when it came to turn 9. Max was going super quick. You saw both Mercedes go quick, and they were out later. It was quite interesting, but it shows that there's a theme this year with these tyres and with, I guess, Formula 1 this year in qualifying, that you do want to be last out. Of course, the risk is this, what we saw today with Max Verstappen's crash, that a yellow flag can hamper your opportunity of getting pole position. But we've seen Mercedes go out last. We've seen the later you go out in qualifying, the quicker you'll go. And Ferrari went out a bit earlier. Yeah. Max saying the overall crash was a bit odd. But he had a bit, I think, yeah. He said he had a bit of a slide into turn 6 prior to that. So I think the tyres just gave way. I just think he went. I think it was the fact of that he's pushed so much on those tyres and that slide into turn 6 has just caused them to raise in temperature, and the speed he carried into turn 9, they just gave out. But yeah, clearly the later you go out in qualifying, the riskier it is. But there's a clear pattern now that you want to be the last driver out there because you'll be able to go quickest. Like, there's a significant time improvement, and the Ferraris went out they went out about half a lap earlier than the Mercedes did and Verstappen. And you saw, even though it's half a lap, how much more improvement in time the Mercedes had and Verstappen had as well, because they took those purples away from the Ferraris. So, yeah, it's a theme this year, and it's going to continue, and we'll see maybe some games played at tracks later on in the season. But then, of course, there's always the possibility of yellow flags and stuff getting in the way. So, yeah, it's risk or reward, isn't it, really? Thank you very much. Appreciated. But, yeah, there we go, guys. Thank you for tuning in, as always. A dramatic end to qualifying. George Russell is provisionally on pole position. I don't know if Ferrari will protest it or not, but at the moment it is George on pole. We have Leclerc, P2, a return to form, out qualifying his teammate who is second in the championship. He qualified P3 with Kimi Antonelli, who had to bail out of his lap in the last sector due to Max Verstappen's crash. Misinterpreting a single yellow for a double yellow. It could have been an all Mercedes front row, but he deemed it to be a double yellow and lifted off of his lap entirely. And yeah, he will line up 4th. So Max Verstappen in 5th, but we don't know with that crash if his car's going to be safe to start tomorrow, so we will see. But tune in as always an hour before the race begins to get an update of the starting grid. We'll have a review of the strategy options, which I think is going to play an essential role tomorrow. I don't think it's going to be as simple as whoever leads out of the end of the first lap is going to win this race. We've seen this track provide good overtaking opportunities, some great wheel-to-wheel battles, and I think with Ferrari, who probably feel stronger on their overall race pace than they do over a single lap, I think Mercedes and Ferrari, with those high track temps, are going to provide us a good race tomorrow. So have a lovely rest of your evening. Enjoy the football. And yes, we will see you for the race tomorrow. Thanks as always, guys. Hit that like and subscribe button. Turn those notifications on, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.